Welcome to Reporting Anstruther. On the programme today we will be talking about the new Scottish Parliament and our future. Now we have an outside report with Lindsay Rayner. Over to you, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Rayner. We're here in Shaw Street to find out what some people think about this new Scottish Parliament.
Personally, I think we're over-governed from London, local authorities, etc. So I really don't see any need for a separate Scottish Parliament at all.
No time for it at all.
Okay.
I think we need England as much as England needs Scotland, to tell you the truth. And I think a big breakaway with Scottish Parliament's the right thing to do.
I didn't vote for it, so I won't say any more.
Okay.
I think it'll be okay if Scotland gets to do what it wants to do and is left to get on with it on its own.
I think that they should deal more with Scottish issues, because obviously if it's going to be down in England, they're going to be dealing with all the English stuff rather than just Scottish stuff. And if they're going to have a Scottish Parliament, they'll deal more with all the issues up here.
To begin with, nothing, but sincerely hope that by the time it gets on to the next one, when we become Scottish nationalist and independent, then I think it will make a difference.
Pensioners, they threw them to the wind. The disabled, they threw them to the wind.
Is this the Scottish Parliament?
This is the Scottish Parliament, yes. They've did nothing. And what have they done? What have they done? The first things they've done. What is going to be their holidays and how many wages are they going to get? Anybody else? They're just not interested. And as far as Westminster's concerned, Tony Blair, he should jump off the moon.
Here we are in the pet shop and I'm just about to interview Martin Dibley. Martin, how successful do you think this new Parliament will be?
Well, hopefully the Scottish Parliament will be much more focused than the one that we had at Westminster, and we'll be able to concentrate much more on what we need in Scotland. Now the Parliament's here, it's up for all of us to make it work, young people especially, because it is the future of Scotland, and we must really work hard for all of us to make it work for the success of Scotland's future.
Yes, I agree very strongly. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm now joined in the studio by Sheena Watson, a community worker, who is going to talk about living in Anstruther and how it might change in the future. So Sheena, what do you think of the Scottish Parliament?
Well, I think it's exciting, and I think it's especially exciting for young people. Many times decisions are made about young people's lives which they don't have any influence over, but the Scottish Parliament is committed to setting up a youth parliament where the issues which are relevant to young people will be raised and will feed into the main parliament. Young people look at things, very often have a capacity to look at things in a very different way to adults, in a very creative and new way, and that is something that is important to tap and that will be important to the main Scottish Parliament. So I feel it's important that young people realise in every community and in communities like Anstruther that their ideas and their issues and things that are important to them are looked at and addressed. And they need to get organised and be able to feed into the channels that are going to be set up for them.
Thank you, Sheena. And now back to our reporter.
Thanks, Laura. I'm here with Alistair Thompson, who is a local activist. Do you think that the new Scottish Parliament will change life in this area?
Well, I certainly hope so, because I think it's about time that control over the Scottish legislative process was in Scotland. I mean, for example, the fishing industry is the most important employer in this area. Employs totally and throughout the Scottish economy something like 500 people. That's the East Neuk fishing industry alone. At the moment, control over the fishing industry, legislative control, goes through London, goes through the UK government, who represent the Scottish fisheries industries at Brussels, for example, which is very important for the local fleet. By repatriating the control over local fishing to Edinburgh, I think we'll see more laws which represent the interests of people fishing out of Pitt and Weem or other areas.
I'm sure.
Here we are in the hair shop with Caroline and Aileen Kennedy. Aileen, how do you think the new Scottish Parliament can fix the educational situation in Fife?
To encourage youngsters through school and the line of work that they're going to take up, to keep the encouragement and education there, a lot more training facilities and financially, to keep the line of interest along what they're going to do in the long run.
So Caroline, how do you think the new Parliament can fix the educational system in Fife?
I think it already has helped the educational system in Fife by introducing the higher immediate 2. This enables people to have an extra chance if they fail their exams to get their hires, and also for people with a lower grade point average at school to have a better chance of getting better grades so they can have a better job in the long run.
That was Lindsay. And now finally over to Robin at the Scottish Fisheries Museum.
So Mr Lindsay, how do you imagine Anstruther in the future?
I think it'll continue to be a fine place to stay, but I think there'll be continuing problems of finding jobs for people. That's already a difficulty, and in the future I don't see that changing dramatically, and so it will continue to be a nice place to go, and therefore dependent on tourism, either local tourism or people from another country to see this part of Scotland.
What issues would you like to see the Scottish Parliament tackling?
Well, looking at it from the point of view of somebody running a museum, the difficulty for all museums in Scotland is that they're funded in a variety of different ways. The basic important thing for every museum is their collection. They've collected material, or people have collected material in the past, so that we can all benefit from it now and in the future. But there is no way that, for example, Scottish Fisheries Museum selling tickets or selling souvenirs in the shop, cups of tea and buns, is really going to manage to keep going in a fully commercial way. And that contrasts with local authority museums, which are funded entirely by the local authority. We obtain a subsidy each year from the authority, we hope, because it's not certain each year. And the big museums, like the two in Chambers Street, including the new Museum of Scotland, they're funded from central government. And so everybody's working on a different base, and for one reason or another, nobody's very sure how they're going to be doing next year, particularly the so-called independent museums like us.
Thank you very much, Mr Lindsay. And now, back to the studio.
I'm Laura Simpson, and thank you for watching Reporting Anstruther.